Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today we're going to talk about the best tasting survival food on the market today, bar none. Let's get to it. But I tell you, this stuff, it's criminal how good it is. All right, so if you're new to preparedness and money is a factor for you, the first thing you should do is go check out my video. I believe it's titled How to Get 6 Months Worth of Food for $100 or something like that. I'll post a link up here, wherever. That's the first thing you should do. If money is not an issue, then you should do that anyways, but you can also supplement with freeze-dried food. Freeze-dried food is great because it lasts 25 to 30 years. It retains up to 95% of the nutrients, and the texture is the same. What you need to know is that there are many different types of freeze-dried foods on the market. Don't fall into the trap of buying from the companies who are selling you the big bulk buckets that you're just gonna throw in your closet. The problem is a lot of that stuff tastes like dog food. And a lot of these companies rely on the fact that most people aren't gonna eat that stuff until Armageddon. And when Armageddon finally does come, who are you gonna complain to?
Hello. Yeah, I want to make a complaint about the 5 tons of food that I bought off you. Yeah, we're only a half a bucket in and the kids are crapping all over the place. We're already out of toilet paper, which for me is saying a lot. Yeah, your food tastes like ground up ass. What are you talking about, hallucination?
So what I would recommend you do, buy the premium freeze-dried brands because in the very least, you're gonna be able to eat them. You know, they're gonna be a meal replacement. So if there's anybody who's a good judge of what's good freeze-dried food and what isn't, it's somebody who eats it damn near every day, probably, I must confess, every single damn day. All right, so I get 10 to 15 messages per day, and it's growing in size. By this time next year, it might be 100 messages a day from companies wanting to sell you guys cheap junk. Occasionally, something makes it through the filter. This guy from Quebec sends me a message and says, hey, try our food. Try my pad thai freeze-dried food. You will be a changed man. And I said, okay, whatever. You know, send it to me in the mail. Worst thing that happens, I'm not gonna review it on the channel. And he sent me those and I was like, damn it. Now I have to make a massive wholesale order to carry this stuff at my store because it is game-changing delicious. Let's say we're comparing freeze-dried food to home-cooked food. Mountain House is probably 75, maybe 80%. Backpacker's Pantry is probably like a 70, 65%. Alpine Air, some dishes are more like 60 to 70%. This, I would say, gets close to the 90% mark for some dishes, maybe even 95%. It's that good. Part of the reason why is that there's much fewer preservatives. A lot of this stuff is gluten-free, lactose-free, just really, really high quality ingredients. The other thing that sets this apart is that it's really low sodium, and freeze-dried food is notorious for high sodium, particularly Mountain House, which is why it tastes so damn good. I'm gonna use Mountain House as a baseline to compare this stuff to, and you're gonna see the visual difference in the food and how much more vibrant and appetizing it actually looks. So, Mandarin beef and rice, let's get to it. So we're just gonna open it up, and I'm just gonna show you what it looks like. My one gripe with this is that, damn, it really is hard. You gotta use your teeth to pry that sucker open. That's probably a good thing. So I just want to show you what it looks like. Hopefully the camera is picking that up there. You could see the big chunks in there. So now this image doesn't do it justice because all the big stuff is now on the bottom. We're just gonna flip it so we can do this visual justice, but you can see those big chunks of beef. It doesn't look like beef because all the moisture has been sucked out. Looks more like chicken, but I assure you it's beef. Let's get that side there. Now, the reason why this is significant, these big chunks that you see, because the process of freeze drying is not easy. It takes a long time, and the bigger the chunks are, the longer it takes. So it costs more money for a company to freeze dry something which is that size than to cut it up into very small pieces. Most companies will partition things down and they'll dice it down to that size. That's why Backpacker's Pantry kind of looks mushy, even though it actually tastes okay. But a lot of companies really try to cut corners like that. So it says add 375 milliliters of water and wait 10 to 12 minutes. Well, I can tell you personally, I never wait 10 to 12 minutes. At best, I'm waiting 3 minutes. It's a little bit crunchy sometimes, but it's still delicious. Okay, so 375 milliliters. Let's get that on the go. I actually think that's too much. I usually take off 10% because I don't like to wait that long. So pour that on there. Look at that come to life. The great thing about freeze-dried food is that it doesn't destroy the cell walls of the food. So freezing destroys food. It's actually the unthawing process that thawing? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, unthawing, you know, the frozen food, that's what breaks down the cell walls. Through a process of sublimation, you skip that step and you basically turn ice directly into a vapor. So you skip the liquid phase. It's the liquid phase that destroys the food. So in doing that, we retain the texture and it's still very porous. So it instantly sucks up all that water. And see, this is why I didn't want to add, I probably added a little bit too much water. Never add as much water as they say, unless you really want to wait 10 to 12 minutes. I don't want to wait because I'm an impatient millennial snowflake. So you can see already though, this looks like normal food. This looks like something I just cooked. You do not get this level of visual appeal with other types of freeze-dried food. So there's 26%, if you take the whole package, of your recommended daily intake of sodium, which is fine because you're getting 700 calories total out of this package. Meaning on a 2,000 calorie diet, if you were just to eat this dish alone, that would only put you at 75% of your sodium intake, which is very good by today's standards. Now, just for comparison, let's crack open a Mountain House. It's bulking season, so I don't give a you-know-what. So Mountain House looks good. Like, we can't trash Mountain House. Mountain House looks great also. What are the specs on the Mountain House? Okay, so as far as sodium, we got 49%. Twice as much sodium, but we're getting less calories. So really, we're getting about 2 to 3 times more sodium, we'll say, to keep it simple. Still has amazing textures, but you can still see that these are all very little diced up chunks. So let's hydrate this one. And I've actually already done a comparison between Backpacker's Pantry and Mountain House. And it comes to life just the same. But I must say that this just has a more home-cooked taste to it. And I think that's because of the lack of sodium and maybe the fact that they're just using better ingredients. I'm not sure if they're locally sourced or not. And you can see the Mountain House when it's hydrated, even with their dishes that have rice in them, they kind of have that glazed over look, that slimy look. And this is what I've basically been eating for the last year. It's obviously, that's not all I eat. I still eat, you know, the occasional McDonald's and crap like that. I'm just kidding. I do though. But I can tell you that all Mountain House food has this kind of glossy look to it. Still tastes good. I would give this dish right here, this beef stew Mountain House, probably like an 8 to an 8.5. I would give this, I want to say a 10 for this, but I'm gonna give it a 9.7. Mandarin beef and rice, and unfortunately this is one of their most expensive dishes, and it's because of the beef. I'm gonna tell you right now, freeze-dried meats, a lot of those big containers that you get, the reason why they're so cheap is because most of them don't contain meat. So the meat dishes are always going to be more expensive. The vegetarian options, not so much. My God, it needs salt. I always add salt. I'm a salt fiend. That's why I go to the gym so much and I load up on garlic pills every day so I can salt my food to death. So don't be surprised if I just stop posting one day because I've died of a stroke. Listen, I am not a fan of foods which try to bring sweet in. I don't like chicken teriyaki and, you know, where they try to mix savory and sweet. but this is delicious. Like, you can tell it's been made by somebody who knew the exact proportions to put in to make it taste amazing. Another thing with Mountain House, and I think I know why it has that look to it. Mountain House boasts that they're the only company that cooks their food first, then they suck all the moisture out of it. Then you're left with the finished product, which you rehydrate. These companies, what they do is they take all the separate ingredients, or they freeze dry everything separately. So they'll freeze dry the onions, freeze dry the beef, freeze dry the rice, and then they'll put it together in the right proportions afterwards. So every one of the constituents still has a distinct taste, which pops. So when you're eating it, it has a very diverse, flavorful experience. Whereas with the Mountain House, it's a far more consistent taste. Everything has marinated together already, and that makes for a more consistent eating experience because every bite is more or less the same. Whereas something like this, you know, you come across a chunk of beef, you come across some mandarin orange, you know, some peppers, and everything has still retained its unique taste because it hasn't had that chance to marinate together and then have all the moisture taken out of it. They both kind of have their pros and cons, but I tell you, this stuff, it's criminal how good it is. I believe these ones retail. I think this is the most expensive one, and it's 13 bucks an entree. Most of the entrees are about 11 bucks an entree, but there are some like breakfast dishes like granola, which have high calorie content, but they're only like 5 bucks. So, you know, I would recommend if you're get a couple of these maybe for like the main entrees, go heavy on some of the cheaper stuff as well. This is really about practical preparedness because it's gonna allow you to rotate out your stock. You're actually going to want to eat it to the point where it's gonna make you fat, okay? And you're gonna have to go to the doctor because you're so fat. And you're gonna come back and you're gonna say, Nate made me fat. And I'm gonna point you in the direction of my 10 to 20 fitness videos to counteract. So for every, you know, package of this, just make sure you're running 5K. The whole philosophy behind this is that this is meant to be a meal replacement. They're marketing it as a meal replacement as opposed to a lot of foods, survival foods, which are just, you know, put them in the car, put them in the closet, forget about them until, you know, the crap hits the fan. This is something you're gonna be able to rotate out, and it's not gonna be a struggle to try to get your kids to eat this stuff. If anything, if you're on a diet, I would recommend not going this route. Now, in terms of calorie portions, we can talk about that real quick. There are some of the dishes which have a higher calorie content than others. Calories are king in a survival situation. So I think their pad thai has something like 1,000 calories in it. Mac and cheese, 600 calories. Granola has 640 calories. Vegetarian chili, 720 calories. So I would say most of the dishes of the entrees are between 500 to 1,000 calories. And then you have some, if you have a sweet tooth, there's things like apple crisp. I don't have it here because I ate that one. And damn, that was good. That was delicious. Now, with freeze-dried food, over 99% of the moisture is taken out of the food. With dehydrated, it's between 85 to 95%. And that small percentage, although it doesn't seem like a lot, it's the difference between something lasting 5 or 10 years and 30 years and potentially beyond. Now, this stuff doesn't have the same expiration dates. If you look at any Mountain House package that you buy from the store today, it's going to say 2045 or something like that. But this stuff, some of the expiration dates here are 2022, 2021, but a lot of that you have to take with a grain of salt. The company is being very conservative in its expiration date estimates because it's only been around for a few years. So Mountain House is a company that's been around for 30, 40 years. So they still have some of their original stock that they can test for its nutrient content and, you know, do the taste test and make sure that it's still healthy to eat. And they've been able to do that. Not all companies have done that. There's a lot of newer, younger freeze-dried companies which can't make those claims. Now this stuff, it's in Mylar bags. There's no oxygen absorbers in it, which is probably the only thing they could improve on. The bags are a lot smaller, which means that if you are going to be eating out of the package, which you can do because it's Mylar, you just pour the hot water in there. You just take some scissors, cut it off, and then you can get all the way to the bottom of the bag with your spoon. They are gusseted, so they do stand up on their own. There isn't much more to say about it. It is a Ziploc bag, so you know, in a survival situation, you could use this bag for different purposes. So on the topic of the expiration dates, I'm not gonna say for legal reasons that yeah, this is gonna last 20 years. But the reality is, it's in a Mylar bag, it's freeze-dried food, which we know 99%, over 99% of the moisture has been extracted. Therefore, the conditions for parasites to grow in there are non-existent. Anyways, if I come across this and I'm a senior citizen and it's well into SHTF, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna think twice. Anyways, guys, I really want you to try this stuff out. So what I'm going to do as a limited thing for the next week, if you place an order at CanadianPreparedness.com, I have to do this so I'm not going broke for Christmas time. If you spend over 200 bucks, I'm gonna throw in one of these for free so that you can try it and you're gonna be a believer, or you can just buy some. It will help out the channel. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I got stuff to eat. Canadian Prepper out. The best way to support this channel is by gearing up through CanadianPreparedness.com. We got high quality gear, and I mean high quality gear only. There are free shipping options, and my subscribers get an exclusive discount of 10% off. Use coupon code SURVIVALPREPPER in all caps, one word, at the checkout. Thanks for your support.